Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of the Listening Room. Today is Sunday, February the 9th. Hopefully you guys caught my Sons of Apollo concert review from this morning. I figure I'd give you one more little video before casting off tomorrow morning for Boston for a couple of days. Although you may see something bright and early from me tomorrow morning. I have a ranking the studio albums show that I would like to get in before I pop off for a couple days, so look forward to that tomorrow morning. Should I tell you what it's going to be? ZZ Top. That's going to be tomorrow morning. So hopefully I get that in. I promise the UFO will happen sometime within a couple days after I get back, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, something like that. So anyway, the Listening Room. What have I been listening to in my spare time lately, all right? And I apologize. It's been a long day today helping my folks move the last little bits of things out of my childhood home, which is being sold, and the closing is this Wednesday. We've moved my parents downsized into a small apartment in a nearby town, and kind of a bittersweet day today, just kind of removing the last few things. I actually stepped foot in the house I grew up in for the very last time today, because I'm going to be away for a couple days, and I'm not going to be around for the closing. And yeah, kind of a bittersweet day, as I'm sure some of you can imagine. Maybe many of you have been through that before as well. So, but anyway, enough of that, because, you know, one door closes, another opens is the way I always look at it. And I'm happy for my folks. We found them a great new place to live, and they're very happy there, and all for the best. Anyway, so what have I been listening to in my spare time? Well, the first two things I want to talk about, I have to thank our loyal viewers for, all right, because we did, a couple of weeks ago, we did a ranking the live albums from Deep Purple, right? And I've got a shitload of them. But there's a couple that I don't have until now, I should say, that based on high recommendations from a few of you, I went and sought out and picked up. So the first one, I never got. I remember when it first came out, not that long ago. I didn't get because I figured, well, you know what? The Japan concerts from 1972 that went into the creation of the Made in Japan album. You know, they obviously took the best stuff from those three nights. So when they announced they were doing the full shows, you know, all three shows in one triple disc set, I didn't bother getting it because I was like, you know, it's like probably all the same songs from each night for the most part. I'm like, I probably got the best of what was played those 3 days in Osaka and Tokyo. But I had a bunch of people say, no, Pete, if you're a big fan of Deep Purple and Made in Japan, you have to get it. Okay, so it's hard to find nowadays, but I did find it for a very good price. So here we got Deep Purple live in Japan, Osaka, August 15th and 16th, and Tokyo, August 17th, all 1972. There it is. All right, triple set. There you have it. If you know the Made in Japan live album inside out, like I do, because I've been listening to it, God, most of my life, you can listen to these shows and you know exactly when a song that wound up on Made in Japan comes up. All right. But the great thing about this, and a lot of the Deep Purple live releases or live recordings from this time period, is that these guys did not play the same song exactly the same from a night-to-night perspective. You know, the song structures were basically the same, but, you know, Ritchie Blackmore never played the guitar solo the same. Never played the same guitar solo from night to night, ever. All right? Gillan would be singing things a little bit differently here and there. They would do jams a little bit different. John Lord's organ would be a little bit different, right? They changed things up every night. Yes, the same songs they were playing, but they played them a little bit differently. Okay, so very cool here to kind of get all this stuff, you know, and then, of course, it's got a great booklet, all right, jam-packed with all sorts of photos and info and all that good stuff, you know. This was well worth, and this was not a lot of money. I was surprised. You know, it depends. You got to know where to shop for stuff these days on the internet. So, you know, I went on Amazon and Discogs, and I saw a bunch of people selling it for like, you know, $30, $40, $50, $60 for the 3-disc set. And then I kept looking, and I found a vendor who was selling a used copy of the whole set, and it was like, I think, $12 or $15, something like that. And I had it, boom, in a couple days. Gotta love it, right? So there you have it. There's that. Next up, another big recommendation from a few of you was a show from 1985, Perfect Strangers Tour, big reunion tour for the band. In the absence of Pink, Nebworth 85. I got to tell you, as much as I really enjoyed the hell out of this is killer. And I think what I really love so much about this is, A, the band is, you know, fresh on the reunion trail, kind of still jacked about being, playing together again, at least for a little while, right? Big triumphant tour, red hot album, screaming up the charts, playing all the big concert venues all around the world. I think this is a band that's just like, hey, we're happy to be together. We're playing great, and it's all right here. This was obviously Nebworth, huge deal, right? Great big place to play. 2-disc set here, littered with hits, okay, or classic tracks, as well as stuff from Perfect Strangers. You got, Highway Star, Nobody's Home, Strange Kind of Woman, Gypsy's Kiss, Perfect Strangers, Lazy, Knocking at Your Back Door, the Perfect Street Rangers, they call it on here. Knocking at Your Back Door, Space Truckin', Difficult to Cure, Speed King, Black Knight, and Smoke on the Water. And I will say the performances here are energetic, ripping, as I like to say. Blackmore's guitar work, spectacular. He's fiery as all hell here. Gillan sings great. I love, almost in between every song, Gillan's like, well, how's everybody doing? Yeah. Just screaming up a storm. And, again, this is hot on the heels of the Black Sabbath Born Again tour that he took part in. So between that tour and this tour, maybe the one after, I think his voice was never the same after that. But the synergy between the guys, like I said, fresh on the reunion trail, hadn't played together in years. Dynamite. The sound is great. This should have been released officially. I don't know, it's a Connoisseur Collection VSOP CD. So released 1991. Love it. Absolutely love it. Thanks for the recommendations, guys. Can't believe it took me this long to pick that up. A wonderful addition to my live Deep Purple collection. All right. Next up, in honor of what's going to happen tomorrow morning, I've been listening to the Fandango album from ZZ Top quite a bit. Yes, it's going to be included in my ranking the studio albums, because while there are a handful of live tracks on here, it's like half live, half studio. I'm going to count it. Studio stuff on here is stellar. This, quite frankly, should have been a full studio album. The live track's cool, but the studio stuff, killer. All right, if you saw my Death, ranking the studio albums from Death the other day, I've been listening to a lot of Death all week, last week and a half or so. Sounds of Perseverance, especially. All right, also Individual Thought Patterns and Symbolic. These are their last 3 studio albums, which I love all 3 of them, and they're my 3 favorites. Not surprisingly, just Death firing on all cylinders, all sorts of complex and melodic and brutal. I love Death. And doing that show last week, just, I love Death. I've been listening to them for decades, but it really put me in a mood to listen to a lot of their music. So I've been kind of listening to a ton of their stuff over the last week or two, and really enjoying it all over again. Just really like the band. Jethro Tull, Nightcap. Again, I did that ranking the studio albums recently, so I've been popping back and forth on some of their studio releases, but I hadn't listened to this in a while, and I just love the Chateau Disaster tapes, all right, which was the original album recorded that eventually became a Passion Play. I love that. I don't know what the hell the band thought was wrong with that, man. Great stuff on here. That's disc 1 on here. Disc 2 is all sorts of unreleased B-sides and hidden gems and, extra recordings that they did in various sessions throughout the 80s and 90s. A fantastic compilation of unreleased studio stuff. What else we got here? How about Eclipse from Yngwie Malmsteen and Company? A really excellent, it was early 90s, I believe this was, right? 1990, actually. Released from the Swedish guitar shredder. I actually got this not long ago because I had this on cassette back in the day, and I realized one day I was looking through my Yngwie CDs. I'm like, holy crap, I never got Eclipse on CD. Never replaced that cassette. Well, took care of that shit. A lot of really catchy tunes on here. I dig this. This is probably one of, his 80s stuff obviously is great, at least for me anyway. And then, some of the 90s albums and beyond are a little spotty, but I think this was a very, very solid album as he kind of went into the 90s. Been listening to a bit of Toto lately as well, Did the Toto thing, ranking the albums also. Kingdom of Desire, I was also reading Lukather's book. Been playing lots of Toto. Kingdom of Desire, early 90s album. Excellent, I might add. As well as Isolation from the 80s. Been spinning this quite a bit. Very underrated album. A lot of great stuff on here. And last but not least, for my brief little listening room show today, how about Look at Yourself by Uriah Heep? Was cranking this at the gym the other day while lifting weights, man. Enjoying the hell out of it. This is my favorite Heep album. So many great tracks on here. Just a fantastic, fantastic album. By the way, I do want to mention, because I get contacted from people all the time now who tell me, Pete, I watched this video, or Pete, I watched that video, and what about this, and what about this? So a lot of people have been contacting me saying that they watched my top progressive rock albums of the 70s program that we did, like 2 years ago, which, by the way, is the most watched video in 5 years of video archives on this channel. And I've gotten so many people who have watched that and watched part 2 and part 3, and they're like, Pete, I can't believe you didn't include a Uriah Heep album in your top prog albums of the 70s. Well, guys, it's very simple. I don't consider Heep a prog band. All right? Yes, they have some proggy moments here and there, but they were never a prog band. All right? So that's why they're not included in any of those shows. But if you watch the top hard rock and heavy metal albums of the 70s shows, that's where you'll find Uriah Heep. So stop asking why Heep are not included on the prog shows, because I don't think they're a prog band. Proggy moments, proggy embellishments, yes, certainly, as a lot of bands did. Just like Queen. Queen had a couple proggy moments here and there, their first handful of albums. They weren't a prog band, though. Same thing with these guys. Same thing with Deep Purple. They weren't a prog band, but they had their moments, all right? Heep are a great hard rock band, heavy rock band, who incorporated elements of prog, psych, folk, boogie, but they were a heavy rock band. All right, so just answer that question for you. Anyway, that's what you got. So we'll see you again in a couple of weeks for another edition of The Listening Room. Hopefully I'll have some new stuff come in. I have stuff that I got to review still that I'll be talking about, things like that. So you'll have to stay tuned for that. So anyway, tomorrow morning, should be able to get to a first thing. ZZ Top, ranking the studio albums. Okay, and then we'll be kind of going off the air for a couple days as I travel up to Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts, for a trip to our office for my day job, some meetings and things like that. But I'll be back on Thursday. All right, so you'll see Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You'll see some stuff from me over those couple days once I kind of get back into the office here and back into the swing of things. So we'll see you soon, guys. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on YouTube all the damn time. We'll see you soon, all right? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.